Hello, 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 and welcome to today's Real Women, Real Purpose talk show, where I get to talk to real women about their purpose and what they're doing in the world. And I am so excited to be here today with Ginny Robertson. Yay, Ginny. And she's going to be telling us about how to create your life vision and why it matters. So you are watching the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show live in the On Purpose Woman magazine and global community Facebook page, or wherever you're watching it. I'm Catherine Yarbrough. I'm your host today, one of the two hosts, and Ginny is the other host. She sometimes interviews me or other really wonderful people. Isn't it fun to be one of the hosts of this Real Women, Real Purpose?
I love it. I love it so much. We get to talk to such interesting, purposeful women, don't we?
We do. It is very, very cool. And we're real, and everybody's sharing what's right and what's important to them in a way that matters. So anyhow, let me tell you a little bit about Ginny, and then we're going to dive into this. How do you create a life vision? Well, maybe not how, but why. And we'll learn a few of the details, and then you'll find out what you can do with Ginny so that you can do it this month, which is super exciting. I have known Ginny Robertson since 2001. That is right, 2001. That is 22 years. I can honestly say she is a sweetheart. She is committed to her business, which is the On Purpose Woman Global Community, which includes all these amazing meetings for women to meet, come together, have the light shined on them, have the light coming on them somehow or another, however you say that, and being seen and being heard. And I am so grateful to the On Purpose Woman Global Community and to you, Ginny, for showing up consistently year after year after year. You are a rock for me, and I know for lots of other women. So it's my pleasure, my honor to get to ask you some questions and share you with the world today. So yay. I want to say to everybody who's watching, help me cheer on Ginny Robertson.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I appreciate you and your support and your friendship. It's been so much fun getting to know you over the years. In 22 years, what were we, in our 20s then, I guess?
Right. Okay. Dream on, my friend. So yes, since you brought up age, I will say that when I joined, I had just turned 40-ish, or I was right around 40, and Ginny is 10 years older. Y'all do the math.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Ginny, we're going to talk about life vision, because this is this thing that you've been inviting people to explore in different ways for several years, over a decade or two. And I want to know what got you interested in exploring how to create a life vision.
Well, I think I started doing this type of meeting in January back in the early, like the first or second year, but I called it Share Your Dream. And
well, so hold on for just a second. People don't even know that this is part of a meeting.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yes, this is part of a meeting.
I'm just asking about what is it? What got you interested in creating a life vision, just in general? I mean,
well, that's why I was going back to that Share Your Dream piece, because I had done a lot of work on myself, and I was, had been a real goal setter, like in my corporate career and also in my life. And I still do. I think goals are great, but they didn't support me in actually moving forward as much as I thought they could. And I started to realize that we don't really love the steps all the time that we have to take to reach our dream or our vision, but we're looking for an experience of life. And so I started to look at how can I have more of something that will lead me to want to take those steps, that will support me in the goal steps, reaching the goals. Because, as you know, Catherine, some of these things are hard. Sometimes we have goals that are really big. We have dreams and visions that are really big. And taking that first step can sometimes be monumental, or we don't even know how to do it. We have to figure some things out or get some help. What didn't support me was what felt like the drudgery of the step, or the 3,000 steps that it might take to get that one thing. And I would fall short a lot, and I would feel like it was such work and it was hard and it wasn't fulfilling. But when I thought about, why am I doing this? Why do I want that goal? Why did I want to create this organization? Why do I want to spend most of my waking hours, doing this work? It's because of an experience I love having.
Mm.
And an experience that I crave and I want more of. So that's when I started to realize that's what supports me. It may work for other women as well, because I think having this vision is a guiding light for us.
So for you, when you talk about a vision, a life vision, a piece of that or all of it is the experience? Explain that connection.
A big piece of it. I think we have to have the idea first that we want something, or we have this idea that we can create something. And I call it a life vision rather than like a personal vision or a business vision, because our life is our business is our life. It's all connected. And so I think we first have to have the idea that, oh, that intrigues me, or I think I want that, or that's needed. And then we can start to look at, well, why? Why do I want to spend my time, money, and energy on that? And we have to also know what we're going to get out of it, because, taking that experience step a little deeper, it has to be an experience I want to have. And that's going to then support me more, not always easily, but support me more in doing the scary stuff or sticking to the rigor and the discipline that it will take, all those steps, for me to complete it. And so I think it's a big chunk of it's the experience. The other is actually believing that it's ours to do, that it's ours to create, that we can do it. There has to be also that belief that it's at least possible for us, not some huge pipe dream that only other people get. Because as well as I do, you teach manifestation. We're going to fall flat on our face if we don't actually believe it first, even with just a tiny little piece, that we can do it.
So what's coming to mind as you're sharing this today is that I got inspired in December as I was working on my goals for 2023. I got inspired to grow my e-list to over 10,000 good contacts, not just people on my e-list, but good potential clients or people who know me already, over 10,000. And just to be transparent for anybody who's watching, right now I have around 1,715. And I've been at a set point. It'd go up a little bit, go down a little bit, come up a little bit, go down. I've been like this for about a year, maybe longer. And so I got this big goal. What would you say to me about this with regard to this process that you're talking? Because I know, as I was looking today, how am I going to achieve this goal? There are things I'm going to have to do.
There's a lot of things you're going to have to do, right? Yeah. And I also like that you said, like, good, solid people, not just numbers on the page. You want people who are going to open up your emails and read them. Yeah. So I guess my first question would be, why? Why do you want to grow your e-list? And that's probably a very practical, tangible answer, right? What happens if you grow your e-list?
Okay, so you want to go down this rabbit hole with me?
I would love to. You want to do that?
Yeah. Oh, of course. So why do I want to? And again, listeners, take this for you. And I want you to know that before we do this, I want you to know that you can come to one of the 3 meetings that Ginny is going to take people through a similar process, I think, right? Something like this. Okay. So why do I want to? Well, actually, it's because my future on purpose self told me to. That's the kind of, more woo-woo piece of it. She basically said my next task is to grow my reach. And what demonstrates that I've grown my reach really is that my e-list has grown. And so I don't know if I came up with a random number of 10,000 or she gave it to me. On a practical level, I do know that if I do grow it, then it'll be easier to fill everything. So yeah, so that's my why. Those are my 2 pieces. I'll become her more, and I'll be able to fulfill my other goals.
Yeah.
If they really are good contact.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you gave 2 different answers, because one is the practical and one's the more kind of esoteric some people would say lofty, but that's the kind of thing that creates an experience. You're looking for an experience, I believe, in this, where your future on purpose self told you, but there was something about this future on purpose self that you aspire to be, who you aspire to be, that is exciting to you. And you see yourself doing certain things that are giving you an experience. Is that correct?
That is correct. I
Okay.
do. I want to be her because who she's being, the experience of what her life is like. It's not
Right.
because she's making good money or because she's got whatever 100 people in her community or all of those. That is not it. It's the experience of really stepping into making the not stepping into, actually making the difference I am here to make, and feeling joyful every day. Like, I want to be her. She's amazing.
And you're really easy to do this with because you've done so much work on yourself and you're really familiar with processes like this. But isn't there a different energy that you feel when you look at your goal, that is grow it to 10,000 from 1,715 to 10,000? That's huge. It can feel heavy, can't it? And then how many options
It'll
do you?
never happen. And that's what I know.
Right.
It'll never happen.
Right. And how many options are there? There are probably right now unlimited ways you could go about doing that. And then you have to get the overwhelmed feeling, well, which ones do I pick and which ones, and so when you think of it from the experience, and you brought up joy, that you want to feel joy in your work. And I believe for me too, because that's the word that I have a lot, is I feel joy when I see other people creating things and being in ways that I think I may have influenced a bit or may have given them some guidance in. So that's part of the joy too, isn't it? To watch your clients actually go out there and do and be their best version of themselves, right?
Yeah.
And so that feeling, it's like, joy is I always say joy can't be confused. Don't confuse joy with happiness, because happiness you can fake happy. I believe you can fake happy. You can pretend to be happy in the most dire circumstances, but joy, we cannot. It'll look fake if we try to fake joy. Joy is deep inside. It bubbles out. Look at a toddler running around a room. That is sheer joy. They're not controlling it. They're just letting it out. That's what joy is. So if every time you go to, even when you're working on the list of things that you need to do, if you can tap into the joy that you will feel every time one new person gets on your e-list, not wait till you get 500 or every time one new person taps in, that's one more possible person you can impact.
Wow.
Right?
That's
that energy will sustain you more than I got to do the work, because we have to do the work, right? It'd be lovely if we could just imagine and it would happen. I think that sometimes works for things, but typically there's a lot of steps. And then if you can, I just had another thought that was coming in. Let me see if I can recapture it. That joy will transfer into your communication. So tap into that joy before you even send anything out that is going to help get more people on your list. Does that make sense? And is it helpful?
Oh my goodness. I think you're totally turning my strategy up over on its head. I wasn't really clear about my steps. In fact, you're saying there could be a zillion ways. I really only came up with a few. So
That's
maybe
good.
you and I can have a conversation later about all the zillion ways I could do this, because that might be more helpful for me. Not more helpful than this, but than my list, more helpful than my list. But anyhow, back to the joy thing, I forget that. I know what you're talking about. I might even preach it or teach it to somebody, but I forget it for myself. I can easily go into the to-do place and it's separate, and I can feel my thought about, well, I'm going to upgrade my freebies that will help me build my e-list, and I can feel myself be in my top of my head about it rather than being in my heart and in the joy place. And boy, how different it's going to be doing. I'm so glad I brought this up. So thank you to the inspiration that came up for me to say something about this goal.
You're welcome. And let me just throw it out there too to anybody watching this. Kath and I are great friends, but we didn't plan this. We didn't plan for her to ask me this question. And did you notice how more joyful I got even talking about your joy?
Yeah.
It's because this topic excites me too. So if I'm excited about the topic, when I send out my email about the meeting where we're going to be talking about create your vision, I think that energy comes through. If I'm just seeing it as something which I can get into, let me tell you, this takes work. It takes work to stay in joy. It takes awareness. It takes paying attention to our feelings and voices in our head. But if I'm just looking at it as one more thing to mark off my to-do list, it'll be boring. It'll probably come across that way. So yeah, I think the vision, the vision is the bigger dream, is the big thing. Like growing your list is not your vision. That's a step to having your greater vision, I believe. These are all steps, but we could treat each one of those pieces as a separate vision if we wanted to. But it's that thing that's on the horizon that says, that's what I'm aiming for. That's what I want to have. That's the experience I want to have. And we can go about it that's the good news. We can go about it in so many different ways. Everybody can have a different way to reach the same thing. If joy is an experience that you crave, there's a million ways you can get there with your work or with your personal life, right?
And it might be unique to each person, that their joy, the thing that will bring them joy.
Exactly.
Well, let's take a moment. We're going to come back. I've got some other questions, but let's take a moment, and I would like for you to tell people about the share. Well, it's not Share Your Dream. It used to be Share Your Dream. Every year in January, Ginny did a zillion meetings across Maryland, but now it's all online. I believe all of the meetings that she's doing this are online, and it's about creating a vision. So Ginny, could you tell people what the dates are, how they can find out about it, what's going to happen?
Yes. You have 3 opportunities. This is for women only, and you have 3 opportunities in the month of January to come to one of our free On Purpose Woman Global Community gatherings on Zoom. This was a normal meeting that we have, except for these 3 meetings. We're going to be doing the Create Your Vision 2023, which in our time together, you will have an opportunity to get clear on some of the things that I talked with Catherine. You will have an opportunity to look into the experience that you want to have with your life, and you will have some tangible steps to take by the time you leave. Our meeting is only an hour and a half, and we probably spend about less than an hour on that. So think about the value that you could get in just 1 hour. Those meetings are either the 13th, Friday the 13th, a good way to spend Friday the 13th and bring some good luck into your life. And that's a 10:30 a.m. Eastern time meeting. You can also come on Thursday, January the 19th. That's also at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, or you can come at 7:00 p.m. on January 30th. And that's 7:00 again, Eastern time. Again, these are hour-and-a-half meetings. You'll have an opportunity to meet some really great women, to discuss some things, to really get clear on this. And you can come more than once if you want, because I know women, I used to do these at every single meeting, and this is the first year you don't have as many opportunities. But you come more than once, you might get more even clearer the next time around. Because sometimes our first pass is not the real pass. It's not the real thing. So
yeah, absolutely. You will get lots of great experiences the first time, but if you can come a second time, do it. I've done it multiple times over the last several years and love this process. But here's what I want to say, Ginny, before I say those dates and times again for everyone's benefit. If someone is interested in coming to a meeting, what do they do right now?
Okay.
How do they make sure they get signed up and get into the meeting?
If you are not on my email list, if you are on my email list, I'll start there. You will get a notification. In fact, I'll be sending out something tomorrow about all the meetings this month. But you'll also get a notification about each of those meetings in advance, and you get a reminder 1 hour before each one. So on Zoom, if you get that reminder, you can jump over there and be with us right away. If you are not on my email list, you can go to my website, which is opwgc.com, and that stands for On Purpose Woman Global Community, opwgc.com, and sign up. It's very easy. Click on where it says sign up, and that will make sure that you get notified right away of all these meetings.
Okay, excellent. So people, go to opwgc.com, sign up for the emails, and right now, mark your calendar for one or all 3 of these. This is Friday, January 13th at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. It's an hour and a half. Thursday, January 19th, 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, or Monday, January 30th at 7 p.m. Eastern. Everything's 90 minutes or an hour and a half. So let's go on. And I am so excited for your visioning meetings. But, once people do that, and once they have a vision, what should they do? I can imagine it would be really easy for me to forget my future on purpose self and that joy, or forget the goal that popped in that she gave me to grow my e-list. But what do we do?
Well, we have to be reminded, obviously. So it's not good enough to just go through the process and take, you get great handouts that you can use during my meetings. It's not enough to just fill those out, get insights, and then tuck them away somewhere, never look at them again, which is typical. We get busy, we forget. But if this is something that you really want, if this is really important to you to have this life that you desire and this experience, then you have to make a plan. You have to be conscious about it. And I think it's really important to connect with other women, which happens in our community as well. You may connect with some women there that you want to stay in touch with, and maybe you support each other in doing that, in living that vision. There's also another opportunity, which maybe we can talk about, my 100-day group, that will also continue that process. But I think that the real value of this, there's so much value, but one of the big things I don't think that we think about is you can use this vision that you create, even if you're not totally clear on it, but you get a sense of the experience that you want. You can use it to make important decisions in your life. So let's say that Catherine is looking to have this experience of greater joy in everything that she does, personally and professionally, right? You get an opportunity. Somebody says, Catherine, I want you to speak at this event. And, we can't pay you, but, you get to do this, 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 and this. And you go over and you check it out, and you're looking at some of the details, and you're feeling like, I'm not sure this is a fit for me. And if you trust that, is this going to bring me joy to participate? It doesn't feel right now. Then maybe you say no to that. Mm-hmm. Or another opportunities. Let's say for anybody watching, how many opportunities do you get to try a product or service? And sometimes you say yes because it's your friend, but you have no idea whether it's going to be beneficial or not. Tap into every decision you have to make that is big, that either takes you down a direction where you're spending time, money, or energy, and ask yourself, is this bringing me toward my vision, toward my experience, or is it taking me away? Now, imagine if we did that with friendships, with people in our lives. Does this person, do I feel joy when I'm with this person? Or does it feel, that would be some hard decisions maybe to make. And there are some people we just aren't going to throw out of our lives because we don't feel joyful around them. But we also, we also need to make sure we pack our lives full of those other opportunities. So it's a decision-making process where, are you going down the path to joy? We're going down here and you're not even sure what it's going to bring, because we have more. I know I have more than enough opportunities every single week that I will never run out of opportunities for people, places, things, business things, growth, all of that we have to condense the list a bit, condense the opportunities. And it's one way to make a decision. Is this taking me down this path or not?
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Well, Ginny.
Yes.
Is there an example for you in the last couple of years, or last year, or even this year, of what was in your vision and how you worked with that?
Okay. I'm going to use a personal example and I can use a professional example as well if you like, but a number of years ago, it's probably been 6 or 7, I decided on New Year's Day, which is when I do a lot of my thinking about the last year and the new year, that I wanted to have that my husband Don and I have a very close, deep, loving marriage relationship, but I wanted to deepen that relationship. And I realized that one way I could do that is by just always choosing kindness, always choosing peace. And I'd like to say that I'm just loving, beautiful, kind wife all the time. And I'm not. I can get triggered. I can get reactive. And I started to notice every thought I was having, like when he would say something and I would interpret it and I would want to say, why did you say that? Or, and I would just sit with it and I would wait to respond and realize sometimes it didn't need a response at all. If really the experience I want is peace and I want to be kind, then so many things don't ever need to be said. And I never told him about this. I never told him that was what I was doing, because I think that would have defeated my purpose. But the experience was amazing to watch, because we went from having these occasional kind of wool to just like being in harmony most of the time. And I think the truth for most women in relationship is that, now when you have two women in relationship, I'm not sure how that works exactly, but that the more conscious one is in charge. It can be in charge of setting the tone, of actually setting the experience. And if the other person is loving that experience, there can be harmony. I hope that makes sense, because it's something I've actually forgotten about until you asked me, because it's become now ingrained in me that that's just what I do. I want to have a peaceful relationship. I want
And
to live in peace.
yeah, I can imagine at first, probably for the first 3 to 6 months, it took some discipline to pause, to recognize that you felt whatever, because that habit of reacting and just letting the words come out and the tone, that kind of stuff is there. So you kept reminding yourself of your vision to have a peaceful relationship. Is there a picture in your mind or a feeling?
I would sometimes remind myself after I said something, and I would go, oh, that isn't what I wanted. And I would often find myself just immediately going into, I'm sorry, that didn't come out right, or that was not kind, but not telling him that I had this vision, you know what I mean? But I would just say, I don't know why I said that. That was rude, or that was not loving, or, and it would just kind of shift everything. So the more I noticed when I did it and could correct it in the moment, and he's also pretty easy to do this with because he's very forgiving. He doesn't take things personally, real easy. So
Yeah.
I would say that he's an easy person to do this with. There could be other people in your life that are more challenging than that. But I would it's like a muscle that we exercise. And then I would start to notice it ahead of time. And sometimes it required biting my tongue. It required breathing. And now it's more like, I don't even notice it hardly, or I'll go, I wonder why he said that. And sometimes I may say, where's that coming from? Right. It's not to just ignore everything, but I will ask the question from a curious place, not a reacting place.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Which leads to some dialogue, which when you react, I know how I feel if somebody's reacting back at me. I don't want to talk about it, or I just want to throw something back at them,
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for reminding me of that. I want to make sure I'm still doing a good job of that.
Yeah. Well, probably you are, because I think you're really happy in your relationship.
Yeah.
And you come across like you are. I've known Ginny so long that I've experienced when she had a rocky spot with Don, and I mean, my recollection is I wasn't sure if they were going to stay together, and
they made moments over the years, when we were both questioning whether we were going to stay together. Yeah, true.
And so that practice has benefited you, and it appears from the outside your relationship, and it seems as if Don is happy, but maybe it would be fun to ask him if you've noticed at this point, since it's eternal, you could tell him about it.
Maybe I will today, now that I've reminded myself. You reminded me of it, really, so thanks.
Yeah. Okay, so I just checked to see if there were any questions. I didn't see any questions out there. So those of you who are listening, if you do have a question about anything that's been said or a comment, please share your thoughts about this. Maybe you have a process for exploring your life vision. You can, if you want to, tell us about it. I mean, Ginny and I are both on a personal growth journey. We've been doing it for a long time. Anything's good. I learned something new from a newbie on the journey just this week. I was like, oh, I'm going to take on that practice. So share that with us, and then make sure you mark your calendar for either one of these, January 13th or January 19th at 10:30 Eastern, or January 30th at 7 p.m. But before we go off, Ginny, is there anything else that you want to make sure we talk about with regard to this that maybe we haven't yet touched on that you think is important?
Well, I think that it's actually a fairly simple process, but it's not necessarily easy because we don't always take the time to go down this. It's kind of a different kind of rabbit hole that we can go down with this, which is a good rabbit hole that says, oh, if I want this, then this means this, and then this means this, and how can I experience that? So I think during this process, it's also really important to, you talked about your future on purpose self. It's important that we also envision who we desire to be. Who is this person taking these action steps? And why is she taking them? And I know a word that's important to you and also to me is impact. We both want to make an impact out there in the world. And so the experience of making an impact, impact is not an adjective. Impactful is an adjective. So if we are being impactful in our work, in our personal lives, what does that then translate into for us? And so, if I'm being an impactful person, or if I desire to be this person who impacts others, who does she need to be to do that?
Mm-hmm.
In your case, you talked about you actually need people to impact. You need an audience, which we all do. If we're really going to impact, it could be an audience of one, but we need an audience if we want to make an impact. And actually, Catherine, I don't know if there's anybody probably watching this or listening to this who doesn't want to make some kind of an impact in their life, whether it's with their kids, their family, their community, their small community, or in their business. Some want to impact thousands from a huge stage. Oh, sorry, that's my husband calling with I'll let it go to voicemail. Okay, thank you. He's having car trouble, everybody, so I'll probably have to go pick him up. And so I think that this process can work for anyone, regardless of who you are or what you want, if you truly get behind the desire for it. Because so often we just go chasing things and we don't even know why. You want more money. Great. Money's great. When you said it wasn't for you, this growing your list was not about the money you'll make. But it's okay if it is, as long as you're clear on the experience you want to have of that money, right?
Right.
Like, what would you use it for? And how will you feel when you use it?
Yeah.
And so I think that keeps us out of this. It keeps us from being disappointed as well, because, how many wealthy people are not happy because they thought life would change when they got some more money, but they didn't do the work to even understand what their life was about right now and what they wanted to change about it. So I think that there's no limit to how we can do this, and anybody can do it. That's the beauty of it. Anybody can do it. And the more we live in this space, the more impact we all have. Yeah.
Well, I love that. I love that, Ginny. And I do want to say, a few years ago, when people talked about making an impact, I actually would be like, what are you talking about making an impact? I don't want to make an impact, because it felt like people that making an impact was doing something to people, kind of like manipulation or something. So that's changed for me. My future on purpose self does make an impact. I make an impact. I know I had 2 sessions with clients today where I know they move forward in being the fullest expression of themselves because of the work that we did just today. I love that. I'm so proud of myself. Oh my God, pat myself on the back. So thank you for your part in my unfolding. Women who are watching this, if you are not part of the On Purpose Woman Global community, I don't know why you're not, because it has just been such a loving, wonderful place for me to meet amazing other cool women. And quite honestly, probably half of my clients over the years have come from the On Purpose Woman Global community. We work with each other. I work with a couple people from the On Purpose Woman Global community. Money, we're creating an economy there. And the more there are of us, the more it will grow. It's a great organization. So OPWGC, come to a few meetings, make sure you feel good about it, and then join. I'm going to say right now, it's only $19 a month, people. So anyhow, join us. It's great. And we have a magazine. If you haven't read the On Purpose Woman magazine at opwgc.com, standing for On Purpose Woman Global Community, click onto the magazine page and take a look at that, and look at the archives if you want to. We've got great articles. So you have opportunities for visibility at our meetings and the magazine. on this Real Women, Real Purpose talk show. I am just on my, I am preaching it, aren't I, Ginny?
Thank you. You're exuding joy, and you're raising my joy quotient yet again. Can I say something about impact real quick before we wrap up?
Yes, please do.
Because I felt similarly back a number of years ago. And I think there was a lot of kind of slimy marketing done back in the day around impact marketing. And influence was another word that I had difficulty with. And influence, I mean, impact and influence to me now mean the same thing. If I can influence you in a way that is wonderful for your life, then great. But impact to me is even bigger. It's like the influence means you might listen, but then you're going to make your own impact in a bigger way. And so I think that it was because of a lot of things, slimy marketing techniques or things that was about coercion or manipulation that made those words not feel appealing. And I think it's because of women, we as women, we're always looking for the heart in stuff. And that's why those words were so big in traditional sales and marketing, because it was very masculine driven, but I think we've changed the language on that some, where the impact is for the greater good. Right. And I think it's all about, my intention in making an impact is what it's all about. And if my intention is to do good, to bring good to other people, to give other women opportunities, then yeah, it's all good.
Yeah. And that's where I think, if not everybody, almost everybody is enrolled in that yeah. We do. I don't know any woman, and probably most men, who doesn't want to do for better for others, for the greater good, and impact themselves in a positive way. So thank you.
Absolutely. Let's not leave ourselves out of this quotient, because we have to be number one in this, or it won't work.
Yes. Well, we do have one comment here, so let me read that, and then we will wrap up. So Beth, who is someone who's been part of the On Purpose Woman Global community for a long time, has been watching today, and she said, I find I need to focus on the inner work, both in terms of connecting with my inner wisdom and spiritual guidance, and also taking time to work through limiting patterns, feelings, and beliefs, and to do so in an active way through writing, meditation, creativity. So thank you. That's, I think, an answer to my question about what are you doing for your visioning work. So that's beautiful.
Yes,
Beth.
really important stuff. Thanks, Beth. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, my friends. So thank you all for joining us for this Real Women, Real Purpose talk show. And on Monday, this coming Monday, January 9th, Ginny is going to be back with Laura DeFranco, who is a cool, badass woman. If you don't know her, come just to meet Laura and see her, with a panel of authors from the book Love Warriors. Oh, Jenny's got her copy. And
my copy today, yes.
She is one of the co-authors of that book. It's a great book. I've read it, and I really recommend that you go out and get it. And for this interview, if you loved it and you want to share it with your friends, please share it straight from the Facebook page or wherever you're watching it, because you might be watching it on YouTube. We have uploaded all of our interviews, all the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show interviews onto the onto the On Purpose Woman Global Community YouTube channel. So go to YouTube, type in On Purpose Woman Global Community, subscribe, check out all of them. Also, you will find presentations by different amazing women, presentations that have been done at the On Purpose Woman gatherings. You'll find a few presentations by me if you're interested. Some of them are good. So
all of them are really good.
Yeah. So thank you. Well, of course, I think she's saying that about me, but anyhow, all of the presentations are wonderful. And again, real women and with real purpose. So my friends, we are here. It is, I have a note on here that we'll be back in 2023, but it is 2023, and keep showing up, watching the Real Women, Real Purpose talk show. And I'll be back next time. Bye,
everyone. Thanks for watching.